Stop. Thanks.
Okay, look right at the eastern Pacific equator.
It's blue.
You see that nice blue tongue right there.
I see it.
Okay, right there, that tells you it's going to be a La Nina. Because you have the shift to the west of the Indonesian low, so the western Pacific becomes warmer. Eastern Pacific becomes cooler. So this is definitely La Nina. Looking at this, it does not appear to be an overly strong La Nina, but nevertheless, it is a La Nina.
Could you say it's a weak one, real quick? A
weak to moderate.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
But what's really telling is just going to the North Pacific, from basically Japan all the way across to the Gulf of Alaska, off the BC and Pacific Northwest coast. Just look how warm that water is projected to be.
They have typhoons, I think, right? It's called typhoons. Crap. Is it called typhoons? I should know this. It's, the hurricane seasons are coming up, so you're making me think, this is like August 2020, right? This is when hurricanes are turning in both the Pacific and Atlantic. So that makes me think that Japan, that area is going to have some problems with tropical storms.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the sea surface temps on the Atlantic side will be. But definitely warmer sea surface temperatures will provide more energy to any cyclonic activities for sure.
I think they're called cyclones. I don't remember. I need to look this up.
Cyclones, typhoons, hurricanes all mean the same thing. Cyclones just refer to a type of rotational direction. That's all.
Oh, you know what? I finally figured it out. Sorry, real quick. Atlantic, it's hurricanes. Pacific, it's typhoons. In the south somewhere, it's like cyclones. Southern Hemisphere. Okay.
Yeah. It's all the same thing.
Okay, I know they just regional naming.
It's all the same thing. Yeah. It's like what's it with fish, you can call them hornpouts or catfish. The same damn thing. It's the same critter. That's why we go with scientific names. There's no doubt. But you look at those very warm sea surface temperatures. It's probably going to affect the sea ice, like it did last year. That the sea ice will form up late again in the season. Now, whether we have another cold shot like we did this past December, January, where the sea ice then extends, remains to be seen. But with this, if these warm sea surface temperatures persist into the summer, early fall, the sea ice is going to form very, very late in the year.
Oh wow. Okay, that's disturbing.
I mean, look in the Arctic Ocean as well. You can see it's warm too.
It's brown up there by Alaska and Eurasia, the top of it.
Exactly.
Even in the waters around the North Canada. Jesus, sorry. Okay. Canada. It just in between, everywhere in the northern Arctic.
Okay, well, you see the line that delineates the eastern border of Alaska up there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the Yukon right next to it on the other side of that. Well, right there, you see that brown orange blob? That's the location of the Mackenzie River Delta.
Oh, wow.
And it's, so you have the Mackenzie River that flows into there. It goes through a town called Inuvik. And here's the other interesting thing. There's like an industrial complex on there because there's the gas lines that come down from there and so on. And you remember the show Ice Road Truckers?
I think so, yeah.
Well, there's truck traffic on the Mackenzie River in the wintertime.
Uh-oh.
I've driven on it.
Oh, no.
In a pickup truck, but I've driven on it.
Oh, wow.
The ice doesn't form as thick as it used to be. You're not going to have that truck traffic.
Oh no, the economy.
You need at least 2 meters of ice at a minimum. Probably want 3 or 4 meters of ice, and you can't go much faster because when you're driving on it, the weight of the vehicle pushes on the ice, it pushes on the water underneath it, and you create a kind of like a bow shock wave in front of the vehicle as you're going. And if you go too fast, you can that shock wave could snap the ice in front of you, and then you kind of go into the drink.
Oh no.
So when I say obey the speed limit, your life does depend on it.
That's really scary, and like I don't even think about driving on ice, but
I mean, I used to be
oh,
back in another lifetime. I used to be a trucker. I drove the tractor trailer. You never get me to do that on the ice.
it's scary. It's
Yep,
risky, as you just said.
it is. But that whole Mackenzie, I mean, if it's going to be that warm, oh, that's going to affect the gas production up there.
That's a very interesting point. I didn't think about that at all.
For years, I've been talking about bringing down natural gas from the Mackenzie River flats, and there's some crazy stuff going on between Alaska and Canada. But they were talking about having the gas line come through Alaska. And the Canadians are like, no, we just want to go straight southeast. Why should we go to the west? And we're like, well, what's going to be the route for the gas line? I was like, we got freaking taps, the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System. We got taps, and they designed taps so that you can, at the same, eventually at some point, have a gas line right there in the same corridor. But they kept talking about, we need a new pipeline route for gas. Use taps. Politicians anyway, but you're never going to get a gas line. It's never going to happen. So
But the ice is shrinking overall, right?
yeah,
So the infrastructure of the gas industry up there, oil industry, is in jeopardy long term.
yep,
I guess.
exactly.
Jeez.
Crazy stuff.
I know that's something I didn't think about. The Arctic industry is definitely at risk from all this warming.
When you look at, you got, the right there, you got the Mackenzie, river, gas industry. Then you go right, just basically on the other side of the border, you got the Prudhoe Bay oil expanse, and it's an expanse. I've been up there, and it's just a big industrial, disgusting sprawl. It's what it is.
Wow.
It just is.
How interesting. We don't see that, an
Yeah,
average person.
and everything's built up on rocks. Everything's built up on what they call tailings. Pile of rocks on the ground. You drive on that.
So as humans, we're really treating the Arctic region as just like a industry export center with no regard to the wildlife at all.
Well, actually, in Prudhoe Bay, caribou do have the right of way. So if a caribou's crossing the street, everyone has to stop, and the caribou crosses the street.
Caribou rights. Didn't their numbers go down recently because of the extreme
Well, what happens is
summers
that the industrial sprawl up there interferes with their migration,
right.
and also there's the one area called the 1002 area where they want to develop, and that's where they go and have their calves. That's the birthing ground. And they're saying, well, they do this dog and pony thing. And the thing is, though, the caribou run into the ocean to get away from the mosquitoes, because the mosquitoes will drain, 1, 2, 3 pints of blood for them a day.
Oh my God.
So they run into the ocean to get away from them. Because again, insects are not found over salt water.
There you go. Bring that back. Nice.
So they want to develop right there on that strip of land that will prevent them from getting to the ocean.